915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I am your host, Andy Frecca. We are broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We're here at the KELP studio in El Paso, and we have Mac Daddy Del Norte on the board today. Mac Daddy, how you doing?
Yes, I'm doing good. How about yourself, Andy?
Oh, you know I've run out of superlatives to describe how great my day is going.
Definitely.
Listen to this. We've been on this journey of learning about our city, learning to love our city.
Yes.
And we've had so many special guests.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, we had a UTEP professor who came up with an affordable prosthetic.
Yep.
We have an Olympic hopeful from El Paso
as well
for the Winter Olympics on bobsled.
Yes.
He's been in here. We've had all kinds of people.
Yes, sir.
We're learning about the borderland
Daily. Definitely.
Yeah, and we say we are faith-based radio, so we say all our guests are special because they are unique expressions of an endlessly creative God.
Yes, sir.
But today our guest is extra special.
Why is that, Andy?
Well, first of all, he's a true son of the borderland.
Oh, yes.
He grew up in Northeast El Paso.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and just like you, Mac Daddy.
Yes.
He graduated from UTEP.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember those good old days.
And then he went onto a career in business. Mm-hmm. He created one of El Paso's fastest growing and most successful companies.
Oh, nice.
And it was ranked by the Inc. magazine as being the sixth fastest growing company in the U.S. And Black Enterprise magazine ranked his company as one of the largest black-owned companies in the nation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you would think that would be enough, Mac Daddy Del Norte.
Yeah, probably.
But that was not enough.
No.
In 2020, he founded El Perro Grande Tequila.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Have you tried their products yet, Mac Daddy?
Nope, not at all.
Okay. Well, there it is. The name's out there, El Perro Grande. I like their ad. It's a big white dog right on I-10 off the Piedras exit. I always get a little chuckle off of that. But recently, he decided to, I wouldn't say transition, but he's gone into public service.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he became El Paso's first black mayor.
Nice.
He's right here in the KELP studio,
Yes,
Mac Daddy Del
sir.
Norte, if you can believe that. And we have a lot to talk about. So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Mayor Renard Johnson. Mayor, welcome to 915 Talk.
Well, thank you for having me. I got to tell you first, though, I'm trying to get like Adrian. I'm trying to get a nickname like Mac Daddy.
Well, Mayor Daddy, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that is so cool. I mean, he's got his own name, Mac Daddy.
Yeah, well, we believe we need to celebrate each other. So
I understand.
It's fun to have the nicknames, and it's been great to have this journey of learning about the city together with our listening community. Really appreciate you coming in. You went through what I would call a grueling mayoral race.
Yes.
It was like it felt like it was over, and then it kept on going because there was a runoff.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you managed that, because I was kind of watching, of course, from the sidelines, and I was like, I would be tired if I were any of these guys.
Yeah. So Andy, you bring up something very important. Is I campaigned for over a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it took me a year to get into this office.
Yeah, and it's not like you didn't have anything else going on.
No. And the other thing is I've got two daughters,
right,
that need attention too at the same time.
Exactly. So after that was all over, you won.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much.
You were sworn in, I believe it was January 6th. So you've been in office for a little over 4 months.
Yes.
What is one thing that you now know that you didn't know 4 months ago about being mayor of El Paso?
Oh my God. I get that all the time.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I can tell you I may have underestimated is the amount of work. It's a lot of work.
Wow.
But it's enjoyable work. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I enjoy working with the city of El Paso, all the employees. As you know, we got over 6,000 employees that work for the city.
Wow.
And they are just been just really, really good to work with. I'm learning a lot from them. And I hope they're taking a lot from me. I'm really enjoying working with my city council. We've got 5 new elected city council reps,
Right.
and a few that are returning. But it's been really good to get to know them, get to work with them, and I'm putting in the work, and I'm enjoying myself.
Very good, very good. City council, I think you said at one point it's important to have a united city council. We've had Dr. Acevedo in for 915 Talk, also Representative Chavez from District 1. Look forward to other district reps coming in the future. They speak of a united council. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I am seeing that. And we've got a really, really good council. All the districts, from 1 through 8, they're really good, and they really want to do what's best for El Paso. And it's been a good thing to work with them. It really has. We don't always have to agree.
Right.
And I think that's healthy.
Yes.
But nevertheless, working with them and knowing that they always want to do what's best for El Paso, that's exciting to me.
Right. So if the council is united, what can be accomplished?
Oh, wow. There's so much. So, oftentimes, a couple of things there, Andy. I will tell you, you mentioned earlier about me campaigning.
Right.
And I've knocked on thousands of doors.
Yeah.
And that's how you really, really get to know your community.
Right.
And if you want to know your community, knock on their doors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have to say this, Mayor, because when I first came to El Paso, I had just lost everything. I had moved back to the States from internationally, and I had to find a job. So I knocked doors selling solar panels.
Oh, my God.
I got to know El Paso, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So you've had the doors politely closed on you?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, I think what I've learned and what a lot of the council representatives will tell you is, first and foremost, we want to be a safe city. We want to maintain our El Paso is a very safe city. We will continue to be a safe city, but we need to make sure that our men and women in uniform, police and fire, have all the resources that they need to continue to keep El Paso a safe city.
Right.
In addition to that, we heard about our taxes. Our
Yes.
taxes are high.
We definitely need to talk taxes.
Yeah, taxes. And that was a common theme on knocking on doors. They
Right.
said, hey, if you win, are you going to be able to do something about the taxes? And I've got to tell you that, we are, number 1 in the state for the highest taxes. We're probably number 6 or 7 in the country for highest taxes. And the only way to bring that down, Andy, is we have to bring in more of a commercial base. Right now, the residents are paying, anywhere between 67 to 70% of the taxes. The other 30% is falling on the business.
Right.
We need to start flipping that. The businesses need to start carrying more of the tax base.
Right.
And the residents, need to start going down. So the only way to do that is you have to recruit industry to come to our beautiful city of El Paso.
Right. And so I want to talk about that
Okay.
because your background is business.
Yeah.
And talking with other city leaders and just, looking into it really attracting those businesses is a long-term project.
Yeah.
It's not something that happens overnight. And I believe we need to do it. Everyone knows we need to do it.
Right.
But how do you keep the community, locked in, not losing the faith in that whole process, that years-long process?
Yeah, you get out there and you do the work,
Yeah.
and I've been putting in the work, and my council's been putting in the work, and we've been out there visible. I've got to get on a road show. I've got to get out and knock on doors. I've got
wow.
to go to Austin. I've got to go to D.C. I've got to tell you something that's really magical that's happening. Working with our county judge, working with Mayor Enriquez out of Las Cruces,
Yeah.
working with Mayor Perez Cuellar out of Juarez, Mexico. All of us are in alignment now. And we
Wow.
all want to do what's best for the region.
Love it.
And, I was in Juarez and I was meeting with the mayor of Juarez, and he says, hey, Mayor, you let me know when I need to get on a plane and if we have to, wherever we have to go to promote the region.
Wow.
So that's the message you're going to hear. El Paso's open for business. Our city's open for business. And we've got to start messaging that out. We're open
Right.
for business. And the more we do that, the more opportunity we will have. As you know, Meta is coming to Northeast. That's a huge data center.
Right.
We have Notes Live, which will be breaking ground on an amphitheater in Northeast. And we've got a number of really, really great economic development opportunities that we'll be unveiling here pretty soon.
Love it. Love it. And We are in the world's largest borderplex.
Yep.
It's complex. It's not just a border. It's a complex borderplex.
Very.
I love hearing about how you're meeting with the mayor of Juarez, the mayor of Las Cruces, us coming together as a region, because in a lot of ways we're this island in the desert.
Yeah.
But we can't just ignore these federal issues that affect our community, and a lot of times it feels we don't have a voice in those issues.
Yeah.
But what is our voice, first of all? And I do want to ask about immigration. What does that look like for us as a city with the current administration?
Yeah. So, and then I want to go back a little bit, then I'll come forward. But I also I don't want to forget about our rural mayors. Our mayors in San Elizario,
Right.
Socorro, Anthony, Cañetillo. We are all communicating,
Love
which is super exciting. You bring up, the current political environment that we are faced with. I work well with Fort Bliss. The commanding general, Major Taylor.
Yes.
will reach out to me, and I will call him to ask him for clarification on what's happening. As you know, here recently there is the International Boundary and Water Commission. Their land along the U.S.-Mexico border is now controlled by the military. So if you were to go within 60 yards or 60 feet of the center of the river, you are now in a military installation, and that is considered trespassing.
Wait, this is new?
It's pretty new. It happened about 5 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so no longer can you just be roaming, along a restricted area. So that's under the control of a lot of it's going to be under the control of Fort Huachuca.
Okay.
The 10th Mountain Division will be maintaining that. So the Bureau of Land Management has turned over 110,000 acres to the military.
Wow.
So they, and again, it's the cards we're dealt with.
Yeah.
I was talking with some of the other mayors, and there's not much we can do. But we can continue to be the mouthpiece for our region. We can continue to message out anything that's not true about the area.
Right.
I can tell you, and I know you and Mac Daddy are going to agree with this one, that there is no tanks running up and down Interstate 10.
Sure.
And there is, there's no bullets flying across the border.
Right.
So it's our job to make sure we message out what the truths are about the region and invite people to come see us.
Right.
Come see this wonderful region. Come see these beautiful people. Come see America's friendliest city.
Right. Well, at the beginning of this program, the intro says this: the world is looking at El Paso. What will we say to the world? And I'm relatively new to the city, and one of the things I noticed is, particularly with immigration, when there's a little crisis or whatever's happening, the national news channels come in and they talk about us, but we need to talk about ourselves so people can hear about us.
You're exactly right.
Right, and so you're talking about us being the nation's most friendly city. If you could get one message to Congress, to the current administration, from the people of El Paso, what would that message be?
I would tell them, it's unfortunate that you are painting our community with one brush. Come see us. Come, it would be equivalent to the people here in El Paso making laws and legislation for people living in Washington, D.C.
Right.
It'd be equivalent to the same thing, us making the laws for them. Come down here and see the truths that we are very warm. We're a vibrant community. We have over $140 billion in trade that comes across our southern border.
Wow.
It's very important not only to Texas, but to the United States and other nations.
Right.
It's not the goal of restricting cross-border trade. We need to enhance that. We need to open that up. So come see us. Come visit this community. Come understand why we go back and forth in the Juarez. Come see,
Right.
who we are.
Right.
And then once you make friends with us, you're going to love us.
I love it. I love it. If you're just joining us, we're with the El Paso Mayor, Renard Johnson, just having this chat about what's happening here in the borderland, especially here in El Paso. Mayor, if you could snap your fingers and change one thing about El Paso, what would that thing be?
Whoa. Now you have really asked the biggest question. One thing.
And all you need to do is snap your fingers, Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. So I would, I don't know if I have probably a couple things, but I'm going to try to narrow it down to one. I would want a thriving community.
Thriving. What does that look like?
That looks like our youth having opportunity here for jobs.
Right.
That looks like anyone that you would want employment could have employment here. You could live a quality of life. You could have the things that you want to do in our region. That means you could go hiking, biking, use the mountain, the trails. That means that there would be bridesmaids parties here in our region, that people would be spending money in El Paso and not spending money outside of our community.
Right.
That would mean people taking advantage of our beautiful weather, enjoying our people, enjoying our food. I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah,
So
right.
it was hard for me just to pin one, but
Right.
that's what we represent here. That's what El Paso's culture is about. That's who we are. We are, again, I said America's friendliest city. We truly are, because when you hear someone that comes to visit here, they always tell you, we love it there.
Right.
But then, Andy, the other thing is, you've gotten the calls and I've gotten the calls, and you're relatively new to the region, but they'll call you and say, what's going on in El Paso? Are you okay?
Right.
So far from the truth.
Well, coming in from internationally, I had people texting me from Poland, from around the world, like, are you still alive? And I'm like, what's going on? And they would send me the headline. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So as mayor, I think one of your jobs really is to speak vision to the city.
Yeah.
You talk about thriving community. That's where we're going. What is one thing that a listener right now can do to move us one step in that direction?
I think, for a lot of the listeners is to know that El Paso is the 6th largest city in Texas.
Yes.
We are number 22 and number 23 in the United States.
Right.
We are a much bigger city than most of us give us credit for. And a lot of the decisions that we're making today, sorry, Andy, I hate to tell you this, I hate to tell Mac Daddy this, but it's not for us. It's for our kids. It's for our youth. It's for our grandkids. So if you can just, and hear me on this, if you can just remove yourself and say, okay, I'm making a decision for 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Right.
And what should El Paso look like? And get out of your way and say, look, if kids want a roller coaster that goes from here, all the way to Las Cruces and back and circles 15 times, that's what they want.
Right.
So we've got to listen to the community. We got to listen to the youth. We got to listen to the future leaders. And we've got to envision an El Paso that will be here long when we're gone.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea that we need to have, I guess I'm going to call it a sober outlook and kind of get to work.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about road show for like you need to get on the road to attract business. What does that actually look like?
That means and I'm just going to use a few companies' examples. These are not real. These are examples. But if we want a Trader Joe's,
okay,
we need to go knock on Trader Joe's door. Me, the judge, the other mayors, economic development folks, and say some of the business community, and say, hey, we really want you in our community. And what is it going to take for us to bring you here?
So I'm sorry. So that's actually how it works.
Yeah.
Is you are looking for companies that you think would be beneficial to El Paso,
Correct.
and you say, I'm the mayor. I want to come. I want a meeting.
Yeah. You want IKEA? Let's go knock on the door.
Okay. I don't know if I want IKEA. My wife will spend too much time there, but
And too much money. Yeah, but I'm using that as an example.
Yeah, of course.
These are
of course
examples.
Yes.
But we, whatever we want and whatever we feel would be good. There's restaurants, there's stores, there's retail, there's resorts that we should start. But you know what? Here's what's really good, Andy.
Yeah.
Our phones are ringing.
Wow.
Economic development in El Paso is busy.
Okay.
You're going to see a lot of things coming online that you never thought you were going to see in El Paso.
Yeah.
So these are some of the best times for El Paso that I have ever seen, and I've been here for over 50 years.
Wow.
So I'm excited at where our community is today, and I'm excited about where we're going. And I can tell you that, the Houston, the Dallases, the San Antonio, and the Austins, they're going to envy us when we get done.
I love it. Let's talk downtown.
Sure.
Let's talk I-10.
Let's do it.
The overpass.
Do it.
What are we looking at, Mayor?
Yeah. So, and this is where it gets, a little bit of controversy, because if you go to any community or any city, your downtown is the front door of the community.
Right.
That's the door, the
Like
front
that.
door. And you have to know that once you develop your downtown, it sparks economic development throughout the city. You know, people are buying homes, people are buying cars, a number of things. It creates jobs. It does a number of things that we need to focus on. If you look at what Denver did, Denver's downtown died, then they brought it back, and now it's a vibrant downtown.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity in downtown El Paso to connect our El Segundo Barrio to our uptown, which would be taking a ditch that is running through our city, through the interstate, and putting a deck plaza over the top.
Right.
I struggle with this one. People argue that you don't need more parks. I'm like, we need as many parks as we can get.
Right.
So doing the deck plaza would give us the opportunity to open more green space, more bike trails, more food trucks, the things that we strive on wanting.
Yeah.
If you can imagine San Jacinto Plaza downtown El Paso, that is probably our number one tourist place in the city of El Paso.
Right.
Imagine multiplying that out with the deck plaza.
Yeah.
Here's what I've always said, though. I don't think that investment should be on the backs of the taxpayers. So we got to find alternative funds to make sure that we can get some public funds, some state funds and federal funds to get that done. And if the city wants to make a small investment, great.
Yeah.
But it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And you remember when I said earlier, Andy, it's not for me and you. You know,
Right.
it's for the youth. It's for a lot of other people that will be coming through our community. The Clyde Warren Deck Plaza in Dallas is the number one tourist destination in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally, I'll share my opinion.
Okay, go ahead.
I-10, it just cuts right through the city.
Yeah.
And so this idea of being able to walk across it in a relaxed environment, I love it. I think I'm like a lot of people. I'm concerned about the money.
Yeah, me too.
But I hear what you're saying. It would be great if we could attract those funds from other sources.
And I think we can. And, you know, you got to ask.
Right.
Think about that. You got to ask, and you've got to do the study. And, you know, we want to make sure that if we tell the citizens of El Paso it's going to cost X,
Yeah.
that we're within that range.
Sure.
We can't do a bait and switch and say it's going to cost X, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's Y. You know,
Right.
we got to really make sure that we sharpen our pencil and get that number to where we're happy with it. But,
Right.
you know, Austin, Texas is working on 2 right now.
Wow.
One
Yeah.
by UT and one downtown.
Yeah, very very cool. I love the idea of making any city more walkable.
Absolutely.
And I came to El Paso for the first time in 2000 when I got married, and I went downtown. It was an interesting experience. It's very different now, highly improved in the past 25 years. What is the plan to continue that development?
Yeah, so we've right now the city has what we call an RFQ out to redevelop the Union Plaza Entertainment District. We're going to be getting bids on what reimagining what that area can look like. We're also going to expand our convention center. We've already announced that publicly that we're going to look at acquiring some properties near the convention center so we can expand that. Because one of the things is we can't recruit the large conventions to our region because our convention space is too small.
Really?
Yeah, so we're going to have an opportunity of expanding that, going after some large conventions, which ultimately puts people in your hotels, which ultimately puts people eating in your restaurants, helps small businesses. So that's the way we got to start thinking. It can't be me, 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 me. It's got to be about us and the community and everything that we built here.
Right. Now, in this conversation, we've talked about many of the talking points that you usually talk about.
Yeah.
What is one concern you have? It doesn't have to be the most important, but that really isn't in the forefront of the public mind.
It's knowing that there is a budget that we've got to work on at the city where we didn't increase the taxes.
Right.
And I ran on no new taxes. But if you look at your expenses that are going up and your revenue is declining,
Right.
something has to give.
Right.
For example, we gave all of the city employees a pay raise to $15.75 here recently. So that's an increase in your expenses.
Right.
But your revenue is declining. So how do you close the gap?
Tell me, Mayor.
That's what keeps me up at night.
Right.
You ask what keeps me up, that keeps me
Yeah.
up. It's unsustainable to do what they call that no new revenue model that they did for the last 2 years. So
Right.
I'm concerned about that. I'm worried about that. Our public safety officers deserve more. Our city employees deserve more. And, we need to fix the streets.
I've noticed that in various locations.
Yeah, we need to fix the streets. So let me. You're not gonna. You might get a little. You and Mac Daddy might get a chuckle out of this. But guess where I was right before I came here?
Difficult to say.
Fixing a pothole.
You had a shovel, some asphalt. What were you doing there?
I was literally fixing potholes. So
Wow.
I went out and I met with the folks in streets and maintenance to get a true understanding of what it takes to fix a pothole. And let me tell you, Andy, it's something that is.
What did you learn about fixing potholes?
I learned, number one, that it's dangerous.
Okay.
I learned, number two, that it's extremely hard.
Okay.
I learned, number three, that they work very, very hard for the city of El Paso. And it's something that, they're doing the best they can with the resources that they have.
Right.
You give me all the money in the world, we can fix all the potholes in El Paso.
Right.
But we don't have an abundance of free resources to do that.
Right.
So again, and that's how, as a mayor, I want to get an understanding of the different issues. I've also went out and picked up trash to learn how that was and what resources they needed
Right.
in order to have, successful trash collection in our city.
Well, we're going to be talking to Doppler Dave later today and asking him
good.
how we could get rid of the wind.
Now,
Because
that-
there would be less trash.
If Doppler Dave can figure out how to get rid of the wind and the rain, he's in the wrong seat.
That's right. So, Mayor Johnson, most of our listeners are religious folk.
Yeah.
They're churchgoers. I think in these conversations, normally it's, hey, Mayor, what are you going to do for us? But when you look around El Paso, there are many churches. What would you like to see from the churches?
I've met with a number of religious groups. They've come in, and I've got to let you know this about me. My mom was raised in the Catholic churches. She's from Louisiana. She went to a boarding school there called Holy Rosary. And so for me, that is the foundation of everything that I do. I told the group that came out and prayed with me, and my office was blessed,
Right.
here at City Hall. But I tell them that, in order to do this job and to remain sane, you have to stay prayed up.
Right.
So that is what drives me. That's what keeps me going. That's my foundation. That is my everything. So that makes what I do as a mayor enjoyable. And I teach it to my kids. It's what I grew up around. So the religious group, I would love to hear from them. I would love to hear their ideas. I would love to hear how I can help.
Right.
And know that I will be open doors. I will be very receptive to them. And again, I stay prayed up daily.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. And I think one of the reasons that we even started this program, 915 Talk, was I began to realize that many of my friends in churches knew everything that was going on in Washington, D.C., but very little of what was going on in El Paso. So we need to learn about El Paso. We need to learn about our community so that we can serve better because, I think, being mayor, everyone's looking at you. What are you going to do, mayor?
Yeah.
But it's a community effort.
It is.
Yeah.
It truly is. And I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. So your last words of vision casting for our audience.
Yeah. First, let me thank you and everything that you're doing at KELP and your listeners for tuning in today to listen to me. And know that, we have a wonderful, beautiful community here in El Paso, Texas.
Right.
I am honored that you elected me as your 51st, I believe, mayor. And I will serve you with dignity and pride. And I will always make sure that anyone that is attacking this community, that I will be out there defending our community. I want everyone to know that the better days are ahead of us, and even though there's some obstacles and some challenges that we'll have to get through, but you said it best earlier. If we do it together, we can move mountains.
Right. Love it. Mayor Johnson, thank you for coming in today. And you're not off the hook quite yet. We have a question we ask all our guests.
Okay.
because this is really how we form our opinion of our guests.
Okay, here we go. I'm just trying to get a nickname, but go ahead.
So when you go out to eat in El Paso,
Oh no.
you're often asked a question. The question is red or green.
Whoa.
What is your answer?
You ready for this one?
Okay.
Now remember, I'm a newly elected mayor.
Right.
I've been in office for 123, 124 days.
Right.
I mix the red and green sauce.
Oh,
How about
you
that?
go Christmas. I like
Yeah, I
it.
go Christmas. I can drop the mic on this one. You didn't get me on this one.
Love it. Thanks again for coming in today, Mayor. Really enjoyed the conversation. And as we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbor, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. In order to listen to previous editions of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.